What's going on, everybody? TJ here from TJ's Take. Thursday, May 2nd. We're here to break down the single game between the Toronto Raptors and the Philadelphia 76ers. This close to saying Phillies. Pretty boring day for DFS. Baseball is all over the place. We have a 2-game main slate on FanDuel. Pretty boring. The early slate. The Rockies and Padres took it over. Padres were a sleeper. Kind of frustrating because I pitched Fulte. But you knew that was going to happen. They're more of a fun team to watch than a reliable team to watch. So yeah, that was pretty much it for baseball. Hope that main slate goes a little better. Yeah, and we only have one basketball game tonight. And we actually get the fun matchup instead of those annoying Nuggets matchups. We get the Sixers and Raptors, which is way more fun when you're playing a single game, and I think a lot easier as well because we have pretty much just a core 9 guys pretty much, and we still have James Ennis down there at $6,000, so we can pretty much do, if you've played these single games with this matchup before, we can pretty much do the same kind of things. But we can scatter these players anywhere in those 5 spots. I think you can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different people in that top spot tonight, and that goes for the rest of the spots as well. So Joel Embiid, I'm kind of curious to see how he comes out. We know he can go for 70. He's at home. It's just going to be something to see. So I like playing Embiid in the top spot, the 1.5 time spot, and the 1.2 time spot tonight. So, and I think playing him in the 1.2 time spot is a good play, and I think that's how we can be different. Gasol's played pretty well on him, so I'm going to, in this first one, we're just going to go ahead and plug Kawhi in that top spot. He's been playing well. Kawhi in the playoffs, he rested all year. He looks like he's 100%. And he's an absolute monster. So we're going to go ahead and plug him in up there. And we're going to follow it with Siakam. Siakam, I see him being an all-star next year. Should get most improved player. And he's just all over the place. He gets put back layups where he gets a board and 2 points all the time. He can hit the 3. He gets steals and blocks. He can get you points no matter what, and he usually does. So after that, let's jump down here, and let's grab Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, I expect him to be low owned. Going back home, I think he'll play a little better. Like as we know, Simmons 13.5. In some of the single games earlier this year, he was like 17,000. So we get him at a steal here. It's a tough matchup, I get it, but he does have that upside in the third spot. I think that's how we can be a little bit different. That leaves us with 8,250 per player. So let's go ahead and plug. I'm pretty confident that the 6K guy who's gonna score is just gonna be Ennis. I mean, he's getting 20 minutes a game. I was about to go nuts if they didn't have him on my laptop. But he's getting 20 minutes a game, doing great, filling in for Mike Scott. Let me check some Mike Scott injury news while we're here. Mike Scott's a game time decision. He's been progressing well recently. He was able to practice. But I think all of this, I really don't think it matters. Ennis is playing so well. I don't see them plugging Mike Scott in. I mean, Ennis has been way more efficient. Mike Scott's something to monitor, I guess. You could take a shot on him in tournaments, but I still don't see him getting his playing time back. That leaves us 10-5 when we plug Ennis in there, and then let's come back up here. And I say just go ahead and plug in Gasol, but we can get different and we can plug in Redick here. I mean, I expect Gasol to get more than Redick, like 100%, but with this build, even with those 3 spots and having Simmons in the 3rd spot, I still see people having this lineup. I mean, there's 40,000 people in the $100,000 contest tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and plug Redick in there and leave the $1,000. And that's going to be our first build. Probably not my favorite build, just because I think we can get so different today. So let's try and do that. Let's put Siakam in the top spot. And follow it with Jimmy Butler in the 2nd spot. If it'll let me. Sorry, I notice I shake my laptop a lot during these videos, so I'm trying to be better at that. So Siakam and then Butler in the 2nd spot. And then that'll leave us 11,333 per player. And I like going down and plugging Lowry in that 3rd spot. Lowry is a guy who can give you a sneaky 50 fantasy point game just any day. I mean, he has the steals upside. He's a scrapper. It's just the turnovers that sometimes kill him. But he can score, he can shoot the 3, and he can get those steals. So playing him in the 3rd spot I think is a decent play tonight. And I'm going to follow it with Tobias Harris in the utility spot. And that leaves us 8-5 remaining. And I still like coming all the way down to Ennis at 6K. Just because in our 8-5 range, we have Boban. Not going to play him. He played a minute last game. Van Vliet. Definitely could play him, but I can see people still actually having this build with Van Vliet in there. I'm going to leave the $2,500, and I'm going to go get Ennis in this one as well. And that's a build I really like. And we have to make a build. So what we did right there is kind of similar of how I want to make builds fading Leonard and Embiid. Because if Leonard and Embiid are in there with the rest of the pack and just score, everybody's in the 40s. Because, I mean, Siakam, Simmons, and Harris, and Lowry, and Butler, they can all score just as many as Leonard and Embiid. So if we leave out the 2 highest salary guys and let's do a Jimmy Butler in the top spot. If we do something like Jimmy and then Harris and then Siakam, then we can jump to Gasol, and then that leaves us 10-5 right there. I don't like Serge Ibaka tonight, but with that 10-5, you can go play Van Vliet or Redick or Danny Green, and you have the 4 core guys who can easily, even though I'm trying to figure out how to say this. So say Kawhi gets 45, Embiid gets 42, and then the rest of these guys are right there at the 39, 38. 30. These are guys you're going to need because you would rather have those 4 guys than a top-tier guy or 2 top-tier guys and then risk it with one of the low-tier guys. Because though Ennis, I think, is a great play, and I think he can get right around 20 points, all of these guys can get 40 or 30. So, I mean, just do the math. That's way better than having one guy who could go get you 7 points. So we're going to need to have some of these just because these are all stars. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them have been, well, Siakam not yet, but 8 of them have been an all-star or will be an all-star. So that's a build I like a lot. I'll go ahead and plug Redick in there in that last spot, but you can go wherever. Anyways, that being said, you still have to go with these plays like Embiid at home, healthy if he is. We're not sure and we're not going to know. You have to plug him in a top spot sooner or later. And so let's say this is a game where him and Leonard are just going at it. So we had to do Embiid, Leonard, and then that 3rd spot, a way to get different, because this is going to be a very Embiid and Leonard in those top 2 spots is going to be most popular. Flip-flopped, any way you want to put it. Leonard's going to be most popular in the top, obviously, and then Embiid in the 2nd. But those 2 as a pair are going to be the top 2 spots. So I like coming down here and grabbing Marc Gasol for that 3rd spot. Makes you a little different, and because everybody's going to have Harris or Lowry or Simmons or most likely Jimmy Butler. But we're going to get away from that. And then once we plug Gasol in there, we can go plug in Ennis. And then when we do that, that leaves us $12,000 remaining salary. So then you can go get Jimmy Butler. And that's what separates you from everyone else, is having Gasol in that third spot. And Jimmy Butler is going to be very popular tonight after the game he had this past game. But we saw what he can do, because 2 games ago he didn't have the greatest game. And when Embiid is healthy like this, Jimmy Butler's usage goes way down. So that's something we have to keep in mind. But anyways, I'm going to be doing lineups with a lot of these guys in the top spot. And something that's really sneaky that you want to try, might want to try in a 40,000 person tournament, put Kyle Lowry in that top spot. Or I don't think I could try Marc Gasol in the top spot. That's too much. Put Tobias Harris up there. Put Ben Simmons up there. Ben Simmons is a very sneaky play I like. He's at home. If Embiid is healthy, Ben Simmons gets most of his assists to JJ Redick, actually. But if Embiid's healthy, he'll dish it to him in the post. Those are assist points. He'll get rebounds. He's looking to push the pace. So let's make a build like that with Simmons up top, followed by Embiid, and then just go ahead and plug Redick in a utility spot. Because usually when the Sixers blow people out, these 3 guys have great games on the stat sheet. Jimmy Butler might have a great game, but it might not show as much on the stat sheet just because he's in a defensive role when 3 of his teammates are having good games on the offensive end. So that leaves us 10-7-50. So I like grabbing Siakam in that third spot, and he'll be your Toronto guy, and then you can go back down and grab Ennis, and you just have a nice Philly lineup. I almost said Phillies. 4 Sixers, and your Raptor will be Siakam, who I think can or will outscore every other Raptor besides Kawhi, maybe. Other than that, that's kind of the way things are going to be built. With the Nuggets games, we can kind of tell you what spots like we like people in, and the utilities are just kind of givens. This game, not really. I mean, a player who's going to be in the top spot could be in your utility spot. Let me make one before we go, because like I said, I'm going to be playing Embiid in the third spot a lot. So let me make a build like that. Plug Embiid in the third spot, Leonard up top. And in the second spot, I'm going to put Tobias Harris. I'm going to switch that up a little bit just because I'm actually going to put Siakam in the top spot. Just because I think you can get similar points to Kawhi Leonard for $2,000 cheaper. So I'm going to go ahead and plug Siakam in the top spot. And let's follow that with Jimmy Butler in the second spot. And that leaves us 9,250 to play with. So then, I wanted to fit Harris in there, but that only leaves us 5,500. That's why FanDuel does these things. Let's go get Kyle Lowry, and then you have $6,000 remaining for Ennis. And that is a build I actually really like for a tournament this big. Siakam up top, Butler in the second spot, Embiid in the third spot, Lowry, and like you're using all of your salary, but the players and where I'm playing them at, nobody's gonna really have that. Sure, they'll have those 5 guys, but the most popular lineup is gonna be Embiid, Butler, Siakam, Lowry, Ennis. All it takes is switching those guys up and it can separate you a ton. Anyways, I think that's pretty much it. We'll be back tomorrow for a better baseball day. I believe there's 2 basketball games tomorrow, so there'll be articles for that. Can see if I can fit a single game in, if it's worth it. It should be about a 15 grander for the late one. But I'll let you know all that stuff tomorrow. If you're not following us on Twitter, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Make sure you follow us on Twitter I'll post some sneaky plays on there. I'll give you updates. I'll let you know what's going on the site. So follow us on there. And other than that, have a good night and win some cash.